Well, if you have clicked on the title or the thumbnail that I had up, then you pretty much already know that this has something to do with homelessness and its cost to society. Now, before I go into this in depth, understand something. I work for a company. I'm not going to disclose who that is because they're not a part of this discussion. But I have been a part of helping people that are homeless find housing and get into permanent housing and being able to turn their lives around and become somebody productive for society. And we've had a long history of this, and I'm very proud of what I've done there. Now, that aside, I am no expert on homelessness, but I do know what I know, and I want to share with everybody what I know because there's some information here that I think the public is not aware of, and I think if they were aware of it, some changes would happen that would lower costs and taxes, or at least we wouldn't be spending as much as we are. Now, here's the thing. It's about homelessness. We drive down the street and you see somebody on the side of the street. They're holding a sign, "We'll work for food." Or they're holding a sign, "Please help." They're holding a sign, "I would like to have some alcohol for dinner." You never know what you're going to see. I've seen all kinds of different signs, especially here in Dallas. It's a large city, so we see a lot of homelessness. And before you understand what's really going on there, there may be some empathy. "Oh, that poor guy, that really sucks." Or there may be some anger. You might be feeling, "Wow, why doesn't this person get a job? Why don't they go and make something of themselves?" There's a lot of different things that go through the minds of people that see someone that's homeless. And the thing of it is there's a lot of, well, I think a lack of knowledge to the public about what's really going on. So let me kind of open some eyes here. First of all, most people that are newly homeless will be newly housed soon because they're going to get back on their feet and get back to work and that kind of thing. The people I'm talking about are those that we refer to as chronically homeless. They are considered to be unhousable for one reason or another. And those reasons vary. They're all over the spectrum. You never know what comes with a person that's considered to be unhousable. And these people have generally been homeless for years and been on the street for years. And they've not held jobs because they're not capable of it. And this goes back to the 1970s when there was actually a case, it was a landmark case about homeless people being locked up for insanity. And so a lot of homeless people were, back in the 60s and 50s and all through that time, were just being picked up off of the street, taken to a mental shelter, locked up, and then the government was billed for it. Well, after this Supreme Court case, it was determined that you cannot, basically you cannot violate someone's civil rights because they're insane. As long as they're not a danger to society or themselves, they're allowed to be free and insane at the same time. Okay, so the days of that happening stopped, and this was in the late 70s that this happened. At that point, all of these shelters that were housing these people that had various different problems were releasing them, but they didn't make provisions for their housing. So basically they were simply released onto the street, and thus was born even more homelessness than the United States had seen before. And it's been going like that ever since. So here's the kicker. What is it costing? All right. You might be saying, why do I care? It doesn't cost me anything. They're homeless. That's not true. What is it costing? Okay, let me give you an example. And it depends on the city, the state, your location. If you're further north, it's colder. It's a little higher price in some locations because of economics and things like that. But the average cost of a person being homeless to the taxpayers' system is $38,000 to $42,000 yearly. If you went on, let's say, to Google and asked Google the price of homelessness, you're going to get a figure. I think it's 38.9 something was the last time that popped it off to me. And it changes from month to month, but it always ranges in that area. So the thing of it is you've got a very high cost of somebody being on the street. Now you might be saying, why does it cost $38,000 to $42,000 for a person to be homeless? How can it be that that is the case? So let me explain it. You have a person that's living homeless, so they're exposed to the elements. Have you ever heard of a condition called exposure? These folks are frequently in the emergency room with all kinds of ailments, okay? With the flu, with colds, with exposure symptoms, all kinds of problems, as well as psychological problems. And if that happens, or if it's drug problems, then they get sent to a drug rehab or to a psychological ward to be evaluated. More money spent. Emergency rooms, as you already know, are very expensive. And this doesn't happen occasionally. This happens multiple times throughout the year that these people will visit. And I shouldn't be saying these people. When you will see homeless people visiting emergency rooms. Also, and we see this in Dallas a lot, and I know all big cities have this problem. When the weather's about to turn foul, if it's going to be a bad snowstorm, rainstorm, or something that's really going to make life miserable on the street, we see homeless people wandering in the middle of the street. I drive past, through downtown, past a location where homeless receive services. And I drive past there daily. And on the days when the weather's going to change, there will be homeless people wandering in the center of the street. And they do this, number one, to block traffic, and they're blocking traffic for the purpose of causing a disturbance and getting arrested. Now they do this on purpose, and I understand why. They call it getting 3 hots and a cot, okay? And literally that. They will be processed and placed in jail. Very expensive process to you and I, the taxpayer. They're housed in a jail, which is also expensive to do. And then they get their 3 meals and a cot to lay on, okay? But they're not out in the elements. And that's the whole purpose that they do that. So there's another item adding to the overall costs of what it costs to be homeless. This list goes on and on. There's other factors involved. But you can see from what I've just mentioned, these very high-priced items quickly add up to the taxpayer. These homeless folks, they don't have any money to spend. They don't have any income. They have nothing established. Where I'm working, we basically house people and provide services such as meals. We also have some folks that take care of social work and the needs of our clients. We do this for half the cost, all right? And it is possible to do housing across the board for half the cost of what it is for a person to be homeless. So think about this, ladies and gentlemen. Doing the right thing costs half as much. The next time you see a homeless person, realize that number one, they have some severe psychological problems. They're not going to be able to hold a job. In some cases, some can, but many cannot. And they have some very severe problems in some cases. And these are just people that need a place that's sheltered in a way that they can either cook their own food or have access to food to sustain them. And through doing that, we reduce the costs overall. One of our slogans is that housing is health care, and it is the absolute truth. You provide housing to someone, you've reduced the cost of their health care. They're not constantly in the emergency room, all right? They have a place. Now, that doesn't always work out. It's not always perfect, ladies and gentlemen, and there are no perfect solutions to anything. But this is one of those cases where if you don't want to see homeless people on the streets, and you don't want to have to be paying the higher bill tax-wise, just to say, nuts to you, you can't have a house, then let's do the right thing. Let's put folks in housing. Let's lower the cost to the taxpayer. Let's clean up our streets, and let's be decent as a society, because that saves us money. So if you don't care about doing what's right, if empathy doesn't matter to you at all, if all that matters to you is just money dollars and cents the bottom line, then this should be more than enough reason for you to want to get on board. All right? Plain and simple. It's a money issue as much as it is a social issue. I would like to think that people would do this because their hearts are in the right place. But even if you have no morals and all you care about is your dollars and cents, do it for that reason alone, because it's what's right. When we house people that are homeless, it's a win-win situation. Thank you for watching this. I appreciate that. If you would, please take a look at this channel. We've got a variety of different things on here, as well as my other channel, that is Texas Cooking Today. And I also have a Patreon account. And if you would take a look at that, you'll learn a lot more about me, my photography side, my videography side, which is the YouTube work I do. And that is patreon.com/Stuart Trotter. If you would take a look at that, and thank you very much for watching. If you like this, please click the like button. Please share it with people. This message needs to get out there. And if you would also, please subscribe. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching, and you have a good day. Bye-bye.